Hello brothers and sisters, thanks very much for inviting me to come over and have a chat with you. I'm here to give you a brief summary about the structure and financial side of Carelinks. This is primarily an awareness day to give you the facts so you understand better how it operates. Duncan's told you about the actual preaching work, but of course there's all the background stuff as well. I'm the treasurer of Carelinks UK, and having said that, I'm not actually coming here requesting money from you. That's not the purpose of the day, but if anyone wishes to support, that would obviously be very welcome. We are a very diverse group of brothers and sisters from around the world who have been drawn together by this vision of Carelinks to preach the gospel freely and to share the truth of our God and his plan of salvation through Jesus to anyone in the world who is listening and seeking baptism. And it's that theme of cooperation on a voluntary basis is what makes it work. One aspect that I am particularly liking in my role as trustee and treasurer of Carelinks is that actually we have quite small reserves of capital, and we spend as we are given. This means that we are very much in the Lord's hands as to whether or not he raises up donors to send funds so that we can undertake the work. So we have to plan very much in faith and react to what resources he has given us. And the same goes for personnel. Typically an appeal goes out and people may volunteer to work. Some ideas have been proposed, but we haven't been able to proceed with them because the funds or the people have not been forthcoming. That's one of the many ways in which we believe that the Lord Jesus is active in our ministry to guide the direction in which we should go. But we have had an amazing number of projects where we have been blessed beyond our expectations. As an example, we were approached by a man in the Balkan region of Europe who'd been studying our material on the internet and desired baptism. Discussion took place online, and it was clear that he was entirely at one with us in doctrine and practice. It was not a location which was cheap to travel to, so Duncan asked me whether we had funds at present to allow such a visit. And after my confirmation, the trip proceeded, and if you read the Carelinks newsletter, you read the report about the organic farmer in Serbia last weekend. And it's one example of how people who are seeking the truth search on the internet and come to us having undertaken their research first. And the website is specifically set up to help those who are perhaps rejecting the Trinity or the devil, so that they find our site more easily. That's a common theme, and it encourages us to continue to make all our material available to everyone, totally free of charge. Duncan's mentioned the trip to the Indian Ocean there, and that's another expensive trip as well, also complicated by the fact that it's a French-speaking area, and Duncan tells me his French is a bit rusty. But we believe the Lord will provide if we show ourselves willing. And I think, as Duncan has indicated, we sometimes underestimate the desire of many people from all sorts of backgrounds to seek the Lord's truth and to have a relationship directly with God through Jesus. So if you can move to the next slide, please, Jim. I'd like to introduce myself as treasurer of Carelinks. I don't like this boasting, talking about myself, but I think it's useful for you to know a bit about my background. I was baptised over 50 years ago and have been active in a wide range of Christadelphian activities since then, including administration, teaching, speaking, and overseas mission work. For my career, I was for over 30 years an Inspector of Taxes with Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs, specialising in investigations and latterly in employment contract law. So I particularly trained with fraud and evasion and was personally responsible for the recovery of several £1 million of tax. All of this gave me an excellent insight into the workings of the law in relation to financial matters, and also the systems used by governments to implement the law, including the appeals system. After retiring 12 years ago, I worked as a consultant, assisting companies to grow their businesses in ways which were compliant with the law, whilst at the same time enabling the directors to concentrate on running the core business, as opposed to worrying about the various laws they have to comply with. I also helped 2 colleagues build up a company in the UK with a multi-million-pound turnover. But all of this, I feel, was merely training for the role of acting as treasurer and legal advisor to Carelinks. Carelinks was registered as a charity in England and Wales about 2 years ago, but had been functioning as a non-registered charity for about 15 years. It's been my role to put things on a formal basis to ensure that we comply with all the necessary laws, of which they seem to invent 2 or 3 more every year, to make sure that our systems are rigorous, that we are secure and confidential. Our accounts are produced annually and are published by the Charity Commission, and they are available in the public domain, and we are answerable first and foremost to the Charity Commission and also to our own donors and obviously to the laws of the land. I'm supported by a team of 5 trustees, none of whom are related to the Heaster family. We are active in the UK and abroad. All the trustees are active in the UK or abroad in our service to the Lord, and we bring a spread of skills to the work. And furthermore, the trustees understand that they are personally responsible for the way in which we work as a charity. It's quite an onerous requirement on the trustee. We have strict financial policy with clear limits on spending, always assuming we have the funds in the first place, and we keep to those limits. Any proposal to spend more or initiate a new project has to be considered by all the trustees before it's approved. All expenditure is always accompanied by receipts and invoices, and we just had our annual independent review of the latest accounts and have been commended for our record keeping and accounting methods. Being an organisation with significant overseas spending, we have to be particularly careful in ensuring we really know who our recipients are and exactly what our funds will be used for. The laws regulating charities in the UK are very strict, and I gather even more so over here in Canada and, as Joe tells me, in the US. So we have to ensure that we make quite sure that we never send money to anyone prohibited by the government. We have to have a proper audit trail, even if it's difficult to obtain, as you can imagine, in giving welfare to someone in Africa. And we have to make sure there's no possibility that any individual or organisation is using our charity for illegal purposes, money laundering. The responsibility on us is pretty high. However unlikely this is, the trustees are personally responsible to be able to prove this if we are challenged. So it's part of my responsibility as treasurer to make sure that the trustees knows what is happening and that they are satisfied that everything possible has been done. We also find that the banks are watching our transactions and ask us to prove what we've done. We recently had to satisfy them that all welfare donations sent abroad were genuine. One was to a brother in Africa who had requested funds for some seeds and fertilisers to help him and his family and ecclesial members. And it was satisfying to be able to reassure the bank that the brother was known to one of us and that we had received a photo of the resulting crop. It is important for us to know that the end result of our expenditure satisfies not only our own objectives as followers of the Lord Jesus, but that it does fully comply with all the laws. So it is our objective to work in an appropriate manner. We often find that it's best to take cheap accommodation when abroad This is often more in keeping with local conditions of those we meet. We don't really want to be taking someone who is homeless into a 5-star hotel. We pay no salaries. We ask our workers to be self-funding if possible, and we operate on a pretty low budget. We keep our overheads to a bare minimum. We have no offices except one room in one of the trustees' houses, and storage of all the material is in the homes of other brothers and sisters and at some ecclesial buildings, all of which are provided at no cost. Carelinks then is concerned with the day-to-day running expenses, underwriting the cost of travelling, conferences, welfare, food and other ecclesial costs, and the winter feeding programme. Thinking about the day-to-day activities of Carelinks, mainly the travelling, provision of food, welfare, conferences, administration, it's perhaps surprising that our spending in the last accounting year was less than, converting it into your dollars, $70,000. The number of baptisms shows that the Lord creates a lot of results from our relatively small budget. Next slide, please. That's it. Let me tell you a bit about the literature side of the business. This includes Bibles, the Bible Basics book, Gospel News magazines, and all the other books we distribute. This runs under Christian Advancement Trust, which is a separate charity. It's a little bit awkward, but we've got it in two camps. Last year we spent about $100,000 on printing and literature and over $35,000 in postage. Those costs are shooting up very fast. That side of things comes under the separate Christadelphian Advancement Trust. I'm also treasurer of that, and there are 5 other trustees who take responsibility for this charity, again completely separate from the Easter family. It is our policy that no one requesting either written material or wishing to download our materials is ever charged for this. We've been blessed that we have sufficient income to send out Bibles and other literature. Can you move to the next slide, please? I'll be going through a series of these. Marcus, Duncan's father, is responsible for actually parcelling up and sending out the Bibles. I get the bills from the company which takes them. I would just like to read these out to you. Within a month, Bibles have been sent to Spain, Netherlands, Malta, Germany, Italy, Slovakia, Hungary, Ireland, Luxembourg, Denmark, Italy, Portugal and Belgium. Trinidad and Tobago, Seychelles, Mali, Togo, Congo, Chad, Niger, Benin, Lebanon, Sierra Leone, Sweden, Israel, next please, Botswana, Ivory Coast, Gambia, Swaziland, Burkina Faso, Rwanda, Burundi, St. Lucia, Guyana, Liberia, Indonesia, Canada, Nigeria, Zambia, Kenya, Switzerland, Senegal, Singapore. It goes on like that. The next one, please. We've also sent boxes of Bibles out to New Zealand, Australia, USA, Canada, and we've got a lot of work going on in Russia, Ukraine, Latvia and Iran. That's 1 month. The responses which we received is a wonderful reflection of the value of that work. I've got some extracts from some emails which we have. I wanted to send my gratitude at receiving my new Bible. It's absolutely beautiful. I'm grateful for not only the Bible, but for your message and aims. I hope to begin my path on having a close and personal relationship with the Lord. Hi, you may remember me. I received my Bible about May 2016 and your 2 books. I had a struggle with the Trinity as I've held that belief since I was 20 years of age and I'm now just turned 61. But I can see that the Trinity is false teaching. The other 2 struggles I had were with the Lord Jesus not existing before his birth and of course the existence of Satan. I put your books aside after reading a little of both books. The problem is I have long-term depression, which makes any form of reading difficult for me, as I find it hard to concentrate. Well, to cut a long story short, I've been watching your videos on YouTube, which I found very useful. Plus I've been reading the NEV Bible every day as I'm following the reading plan. So after much research and prayer, I no longer believe in the Trinity, Jesus' pre-existence or Satan. I just wanted to say thank you, and thank you for Carelinks. I feel so much better knowing the truth. The NEV Bible received on 27th of December. I think this Bible is just what I was wanting, the comfort and tradition of the King James Version with modern English that is easy to read and understand. I did receive the materials. Thanks for your assistance. I've passed on some of the Bibles and other literature to 3 people since I last emailed you. They were either co-workers or students. I work at a gas station as an assistant manager and live in a town with a large university, and both places give opportunities for evangelizing. I have only recently started talking to students from the university. I haven't found a large response yet, but hopefully something will come out from reaching out to students. There's also a music and arts festival this coming weekend. I'm hoping to be a good opportunity for spreading the gospel. I think it just gives us a flavour and a huge encouragement to see the people we're touching and how it touches them. We now have that NEV Bible with the commentary in English, Russian, French, Spanish and Latvian, with the New Testament in Swahili, and we're just coming to the end of the process of getting that translated into Farsi, the language of Iran and Afghanistan. We would like to translate it into Arabic if possible. We also have a vast stock of videos and audio teaching material which can be accessed by YouTube. As you heard from the letter, there are some who find that a valuable way to learn the truth. Again, there's no charge for that service. In this way, the gospel of the kingdom is preached in the whole world as a testimony to all nations. The Christadelphian Advancement Trust is actually responsible for the Riga Bible Centre, the large building in Latvia, where the main concentration of working of Carelinks has been focused in recent years. We underwrite the costs of that building. The costs of running that building, and it's not the cost, there's no rent, the cost of running the Riga Bible Centre are about $25,000 a year. The heating bill is enough to make your eyes water even by Canadian standards. And that's because the temperatures can be as low as over here. I would say there is no big fund in the background supporting us, nor is there any trust fund providing to the charity. Nearly all our income comes from individuals and from ecclesias who send us free will gifts. That work is massive. The demand for truth and for physical, medical, emotional and social support, as Duncan has hinted, is almost overwhelming. For all that, I've emphasised this is not a direct request for money. The purpose of my presentation is to make you more aware of what is happening and how we operate. However, if anyone is thinking of assisting financially, then I suggest you contact me or Jim Barton privately later, and we can discuss what you'd like to support and how best to proceed. We are sometimes asked, if you had X thousand dollars, what would you do with it? So the following are some ideas that we're planning if the Lord continues to bless us as he has today. To run the Bible Centre for a further year for the benefit of the many destitute brothers and sisters there, as I've indicated, 25,000. To reprint the NEV Bibles in Russian, which we would like to do, 35,000. To print the Bibles in Spanish, now that a brother has completed the work, about another 35,000. To fund preaching and welfare work in Italy and Spain among the migrants this summer, again we estimate 30,000, right, something like that. Looking further ahead, we need to reprint the NEV Bible in English, and that will cost us about 85,000. If we have the funds, we would like to create a witness to Israel, 20,000 there. We would very much like to get some more personnel on the ground, and it would be excellent if we had 2 full-time mission field workers. That we reckon the cost there about 70,000. And if you were minded to create a national Canadian Free Bibles campaign, we'd probably need about 85,000 for that. I've been managing a project to print the NEV, translate the NEV into Farsi language, and the translation work of that. If we were to print that, it would be about 12,000, that's just the New Testament, and to translate into Arabic would probably cost us about 45,000. Yes, we would certainly like to reach the Muslim world with the news of Jesus. As our Lord said, the fields are white for harvest. We pray that the Lord of the harvest will enable many more workers to go out in his strength, with his guidance, by his power and influence, and that he may continue to send sufficient funds and volunteers for us to be able to continue. Thank you, and God bless you. Any questions briefly?
Do you think there would be enough funds coming from Canada to consider setting up a Carelinks charity here? There is a lot of red tape and so
Yes. Yes, I mean, obviously, that if you can overcome the question of the red tape of the Canadian government, there are obviously obvious benefits in doing that, but you're going to need a good administrator to jump through the various hoops for that. It has the blessing of the tax advantage, which is very, very attractive one. I mean, for instance, I've just received a cheque from the government for just one of those charities. They're £6,000, about $10,000 just for 1 year on the donations. It's obviously very worthwhile, but you do need capable trustees to be able to run it. The regulations are strict.
Yes, we made an attempt to do that a number of years ago. We were unsuccessful.
We had no support.
Yeah, we didn't have the skills to do it ourselves.
Yeah. And I can't underestimate the importance of, you do need the Lord to raise up people. It's just fortunate with my background that it seems
we need
that
someone like you from Canada who knows his way around the system to be able to get the information they need.
That is.
We couldn't do that. We didn't know how.
Yes. There are increasing problems, though, in shifting money across boundaries there. The banks and the government are becoming increasingly twitchy about money being sent abroad. So even if you're not operating as a fully registered charity over here, you still need to have an extremely conscientious and careful treasurer, because the responsibilities there on moving money abroad are very high these days.
That was our biggest problem.
Yes.
The money was going overseas.
Yes, and of course if you're not registered as a charity, you may be finding that you are doing it yourself personally. We've set up the Christadelphian Advancement Trust to set up what we call in the UK a limited company, which actually provides a degree of protection for the trustees, provided they do everything legally. So even if something went badly wrong, the trustees wouldn't be personally responsible. The same with Carelinks UK. And so this structure and organisation does actually provide a high degree of protection for the trustees as long as they're working conscientiously. But to do it otherwise, you might well find yourself personally responsible, which is an even worse scenario. Does that help?
Well, their concern in Canada is you're funding terrorism.
Yes.
And that's why anything going out of Canada has to be, as you say, the I's dotted and the T's crossed. Getting it, why?
Yes, it is you're quite right. It's absolutely important. If you're sending money out, so on the whole, if money is going out sort of supporting the Riga Bible Centre, it doesn't go out vaguely to someone who settles the bills. We get an invoice from the company, we pay the company direct there, and so that we've got a proper audit trail. That sort of thing is very important.
I don't want to tie you up with questions, maybe Jim. So if money's given to Carelinks Canada, where does it go to you then? Is that?
Well,
I'm going to update that when I do my report in about an
yes,
hour.
yes, Jim will explain.
We're
it
currently
better.
under application for charity status,
Yeah,
and I'll give them an update on that as well.
yes, okay. Do that with Jim.
What do you think of the Canadian Bible Society?
I can't comment on it, I don't really know.
What was the question?
What about the Canadian Bible
Canadian
Society?
Bible Society.
I'm not familiar with that organisation, so I'm not quite sure.
Okay.
Is this a Christadelphian or a non-Christadelphian?
No, it's
Non-Christadelphian
it's,
one. I don't know enough about it. Spelled one to you question. Ah, yes.
They distribute Bibles.
Yes.
and all that. They
Yes.
do that.
Obviously, that's a great idea.
Countries.
The advantage that we have is that if we're giving someone a Bible as Christadelphians, we need to be able to steer people to help them understand it. This is the beauty of our NEV Bible, that anyone opening the Bible on virtually any page, their attention is drawn to a verse which can help them to understand the truth as we understand it there, and to help them to refute false doctrines.
It's just right now, I'm contributing monthly to the Canadian Bible Society, but I'm fairly new Christadelphian. I think maybe my money might be better used if I...
Have you seen one of the NEV Bibles, one of the ones which we send out? Recommend it.
I believe I have one.
Yeah,
Yes.
You got one.
Good,
I received one at my baptism.
good.
Yeah, and the one I use most of the time is the New King James Version.
Yes.
But, yeah,
It's just got the advantage.
yeah, it has the,
It's got the advantage of the
Yeah.
footnotes, which are actually
Yes.
very good, because if you suddenly find yourself in the middle of Leviticus or some obscure part of Ezekiel or something like that, it's quite useful to find footnotes which draw your attention to interesting verses. That's very good. It's got a summary at the back, of course, of the Bible Basics there, so someone can get a summary of all our doctrines, which are quite useful. And it's got links for anyone who wants to follow up a bit further. And there's a reading planner here as well. So, oh no, sorry, the reading planner is actually printed at the chapter, on each chapter. So anyone picking it up can soon follow through.
right, when you're comparing verse to chapter, right?
Yeah.
Steve, I have a question, two questions. I was wondering, do you send the whole Bible to the different parts of the world or just the New Testament?
On the whole, we're sending the whole Bible there, but
Oh,
it does
because,
depend on the language.
Oh, okay.
So we haven't got the whole Bible, we've got the whole Bible now in English, Russian, Latvian, French, Spanish, I think that's it. And then we've got the New Testament in Swahili and Farsi.
Yeah, well, you know why I ask you